You're watching YurView.
Thank you for joining us. This is Scott Kaplan and Crew Tonight. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew show on the mightier 1090 AM SoCal Sports Talk. Here's Scott Kaplan, Alex Padilla, and John Browner.
Hey, great friends. Happy opening day. Glad to have everybody along. If you are a mightier 1090 listener, check out the new gear. This is pretty cool, I think. I'm trying to figure it out. Check it out. It's pretty cool. Let's see, Alex. Let me see yours. Alex is showing it also. Alex is showing it from his studio. There you go. Yeah, got the Kaplan and Crew on the back. Got 1090 there. And then on the front, mightier. And I was rocking it. Alex says he won't wear it because it's see-through and everybody's going to see his boobs.
No, man, be proud, man. What you mean? Now, show them what you working with, big fella.
Yeah.
No, thanks.
Get in the wet T-shirt contest. It's hot outside.
All right. Well, listen, I want to start off by welcoming everybody also tonight who is watching on television. If you are watching on Channel 4 in San Diego or Santa Barbara, Channel 118 in Palos Verdes or Orange County, glad to have everybody along. So 1090 listeners during the day, TV viewers at night, and podcast viewers and listeners on your own time. Hey, everybody in our YouTube chat right now, get involved. I'd like to see what everybody's saying. Make sure you're giving a thumbs up, comment down below, visit our sponsors, the whole deal. Let me tell you something right now, okay? When I woke up this morning, it was opening day of baseball season. Or at least that's what I thought it was. I was ready for Padres and action downtown and excitement and belief. Everybody's excited about the Padres this year. A little bit further north, the Dodger fans, expect maybe the greatest season in the history of baseball. I don't think it'll play out that way. I mean, I read Bill Plaschke's column in the LA Times the other day, and I know that while he was writing it, he had on a little short skirt and some pom-poms while he was writing that column. Okay. I know that everybody in Dodger land believes this is going to be the greatest team of all time. It won't happen that way. I can almost guarantee it. So today I woke up, and I don't know about Grande Alejandro Padilla. He's hermano numero uno. He's representing the 805. I don't know about Big Brown, John Browner, south side of Chicago, bringing the street cred from the podcast shed. Gentlemen, I don't know about you guys, but when I woke up today, it was opening day of the baseball season, and then all of a sudden, whoop, the whole thing flipped.
When I woke up today, there was only one thing on my mind, and that was the Padres. That's all I cared about. That's all I've been waiting for. Spring training is 30 days too long, in my opinion. But, man, that is the only thing that I cared about. And then right about 9:55 a.m., 10 a.m. this morning, like you said, how'd you go? Boom. Bombshell.
Yeah,
Bombshell.
When I woke up, I saw an article that LeBron James was out for the season, and I was like, what? And then I remembered it was April Fool's Day, and I wouldn't let myself get that excited. And then I saw this, and then I'm also thinking to myself, wait, it's April Fool's Day.
Well,
but you see the source.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I know there's a lot of April Fool's Day stuff out there, and like I read some of these things. I was like, oh my God, no way. Really? And I was like, oh gosh, April Fool's. Like I never even thought about it.
I was going to start the show and let Browner do his thing, talk about hit list at whatever he wanted to be mad about today. And then in the middle of his thing, I had this Photoshop ready to go of Russell Wilson traded to the Bears. And I was going to show you guys my acting chops. Like, oh my God, no way. No freaking way. And then I had this whole thing planned out where I was going to mess with him, and it didn't work out because this is just bigger and more important and actually happening.
Right. So look, here's the thing. I know it's opening day of baseball. I know Padre fans are jacked. I know Dodger fans are super stoked. I get it. Okay. I understand and appreciate the energy around opening day and the American holiday that opening day is. However, when a news story of this magnitude breaks, okay, we got to push the pause button here on opening day and talk about this monster story. Now, before I do want to say one quick thing. You'll notice over my left shoulder here, the sign for 7 Mile Casino. Let me take a second to welcome back the great people who run and work at 7 Mile Casino, just a hair south of downtown San Diego, open 24/7. Listen, I know a lot of people are still, and rightly so, very COVID conscious. You should be. I know I'm certainly trying to be because I'm getting my shot tomorrow. But I want to say this. 7 Mile Casino has done some really innovative stuff with the outdoor casino, this 5,500 square foot tent. That's really not a tent. It's a pavilion. It's like what they use at Oscar parties. And they've got all your favorite table games. I'm a blackjack player. I know a lot of poker players out there, and there's all kinds of other games that I barely can pronounce. Okay. There's phenomenal food, and everybody is well taken care of because there's partitions between players and they're pumping in the fresh air. And if it gets cool, even though it's hot right now, if it gets cool, they've got heaters. They've thought of everything. They're incredible. Can't wait to go with the great friends down to 7 Mile Casino. And I welcome them as our studio sponsor, 7 Mile Casino, just south of downtown San Diego, open 24/7. Come visit. Now, with all that said, let's get to this story. Because remember, people woke up thinking opening day. By 10 a.m. this morning, okay, I realize it's much later in the day. This article right here was published in the LA Times. For those of you that are listening, you're not going to see it, but for those of you that are watching, be it on YouTube or actually on television, on YurView, we've got a full screen right now of the LA Times article. Fate of Chargers ownership at stake as Dean Spanos' sister asks court to force sale. Let me give you an initial, immediate opinion. This was bound to happen. However, I didn't expect it to happen this quickly. But when you read this article, and we'll read it for you, okay, you will understand one major issue, and that is this, that the Spanos family has 4 siblings, okay? And all of the family's wealth, not 100%, but most of the family's wealth is wrapped up in this NFL football team. Dad was the entrepreneur. Kids were the silver spoons. Okay. Dad was the one who talked about and took all the risk, and the kids got to live off of all the hard work the dad did. Well, all that's left for the family's fortune is this football team. When they sell it, they're all going to fly on private jets. They're all going to belong to expensive country clubs. They're all going to live in mansions, and life is going to move on because they've got generational wealth. That's when they sell the team. But as long as they own this team, they can keep borrowing money at low interest rates, but the debt is starting to pile up. And the sister, which this is strange in and of itself, Dino's sister is named D, D-E-A.
It's my favorite part of the story.
I mean, think about that.
You have Dean Spanos, D-E-A-N, Dean Spanos, whose sister is named D, D-E-A.
Drug Enforcement Agency.
Basically.
Can you imagine when they were kids, Dean, get in here. And she comes running in. She's like, what? No, I was talking to Dean. I mean,
pretty much.
That's really irritating for some reason. Okay, let's go to the article. Alex, can you read the article? We'll go slowly because I'm going to want to comment along the way.
Yes. Well, the first 2 paragraphs is really, they just hit home very quickly. Here it is by Nathan Fenno of the LA Times. In an attempt to force the sale of the Chargers, a sister of controlling owner Dean Spanos filed a petition in Los Angeles County Superior Court on Thursday arguing that mounting debt has imperiled the family's finances and only solution is to put the NFL franchise on the market. The petition by D. Spanos Barbarian, who serves as co-trustee of the family trust along with her brother, alleges the trust debts and expenses exceed $353 million. In addition, according to the filing, the trust doesn't have a plan to pay more than $22 million it has pledged to charities.
Think about that. Think about that. You know, you're an NFL organization. You have to try and be as community-centric as you can. You donate $1 million here, 500,000 there, a couple $100,000 over here. You put your name on a building on this school, and you commit. And here's how these commitments work. Just for anybody that doesn't know, not that I personally have ever been able to do this, but I know other people who have. Here's how this works. We're going to donate $20 million, and we're going to be the name at the top of the hospital. Now, that $20 million is not, I'm writing you a check. It's $20 million over the course of the next 10 years, hypothetically. So we're going to give you $2 million a year. But these commitments that Dean has made, over $22 million worth of commitments, and it's not like the family is sitting on this cash that they have pledged to these charitable organizations. Talk about embarrassing. Oh my God.
They also in the article briefly mentions, but they didn't mention if they have already paid it off. Let's not forget they have a $650 million relocation fee that they have to pay to the NFL. That is, as far as I know, that's non-negotiable. That is what you have to pay if you move your franchise from a city to another city. $650 million.
If the question is, can they afford to pay that money, and they're not even paying the charity money, I think that is in question 100%. Can you imagine the NFL being so embarrassed that you have to pay, let's say, an outside linebacker $20 million, but you can't even afford to pay the charity bills that you've accrued to $22 million? How does that look to the community? How does that look to other leagues?
Well, let's keep going on. Let's keep going on here because this article is so fascinating. Alex, if you could just pick it up where you left off, because I think I literally want to read this whole thing. I mean, I think I don't. Yeah, because I don't expect that people who are watching or people who are listening are going to pick up a hard copy newspaper. I don't think anybody's going to do that. I know that when people try and use websites where they have paywalls, they get shut out. Although if you've never visited the LA Times website, you can probably go there quickly and get this article.
That's a fact, because that's what I did.
But I'm just telling you, most people will not know the details. They'll just hear the headline. So if we go through it, it gives us a chance. And by the way, here's the beauty of all of this. Coming up today, Raphie Cantor is back. He's the host of the Bolted podcast, which over 6 episodes outlines the how and the why the Chargers left. And last night they launched episode 5. I listened to it already. It's all about everything you know. Mark Fabiani trying to stir the pot. Mayor Faulconer not ever being willing and gutsy enough to ever take a side. The Chargers essentially trying to force their way out. The city doing what they can, although really it wasn't very much to try and keep them. I mean, nobody really was acting in good faith. And to have Raphie come on today to talk about the podcast when this explosive bombshell blows up is truly incredible, because so much of the Chargers move to LA was supposed to be about skyrocketing the I got to slow down here because I'm like, I can't even get this word out of my mouth. Jesus, man. So much of the Chargers move to LA was about them raising the value of the organization. And while that's happened, what we also know is they got no cash. So keep reading it, Alex, if you don't mind. This is pick it up when the Chargers moved to Los Angeles, if you don't mind.
The Chargers moved to Los Angeles in 2017 after 56 seasons in San Diego. They faced the daunting task of paying off $650 million relocation fee to the NFL and building a fan base in a market crowded with college and professional sports. They now have an emerging superstar quarterback in Justin Herbert and share the $5 billion SoFi Stadium with the Rams. But the 156-page filing raises questions about the future of the franchise owned by the Spanos family since 1984 and reveals a family dispute that until now had played out in private.
Yeah, just so you know, real quickly, because I need to push pause occasionally in these as you read through this.
Oh, for those of you that are not aware of us, we do these dramatic article readings quite often, and normally from a local newspaper guy. And Scott Kaplan likes to literally break down every single paragraph that writer writes. So
that's correct.
We do this often.
Oh, yeah. For anybody that's listening on radio, you know the deal. For anybody that's watching on YouTube, you definitely know my deal. But for anybody that's watching on YurView, on any of the cable channels around Southern California, and you just kind of were flipping through and you're like, who the hell are these guys? What the hell is this? This is a show where guys read a newspaper? Not exactly, but in this particular instance, yes, precisely. Yeah. So here's what happened. A little bit of history here, because the article says 156-page filing raising questions about the future of the franchise, and it had been in private. And by the way, people who compliment or who complain to me and say, why do you look off to the right sometimes when you're on TV? I'm looking at another computer over here. Okay, just so you know. Look, the reason the Chargers really ultimately moved was because there was this internal squabble between Dean Spanos, his siblings, their children. Their grandparents had died. So the family was having this internal argument. Let's get the hell out of here. We can't make money here. We can't build a stadium here. There aren't Fortune 500 companies in San Diego. We got to get to LA. And ultimately what happened was, and where the decision was made was, when the Raiders were open to the possibility of moving to LA, when the Rams were in and the Chargers had right of first refusal, and if the Chargers didn't take it and the Raiders did, the Chargers were like, we're screwed. So they jumped. And that was because the brothers and sisters were all fighting with one another, and they all had a vote. Who wants to go? And they left. So this internal fighting with the family has been about money the entire time, obviously, because all these kids grew up rich. They don't know how to work. They just grew up with a rich father, like ultra rich. All right, keep going, Alex.
Okay, so it continues. In a November 2019 letter included with the court filing, Dean Spanos vowed to his 3 siblings that he would retain an investment bank at the end of the 2024 season in an effort to find a new owner. Barbarian contends the situation is too dire to wait. What's very funny about in between I'm reading this is you'll see on the screen an article that they're linking from 2017. LA Times wrote Dean Spanos' decision to move the Chargers to LA is the biggest he'll ever make and one he won't escape.
Right. So listen, hold on.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's awesome. So listen, let me just say this. So Dean, according to the sister now, and this is court filings, Dean's sister says he's planning on working on a sale in 2024. We can't wait. But what's interesting about that is think about what the future plan was. The future plan was, I'm going to keep borrowing and keep borrowing. And even if I get to $700 million in debt, what does it matter? Because when we sell the franchise after the 24 season for $3.2 billion, I'm making up numbers, I'm going to pay off all the debt. This is how we're living. This is how we pay for fuel for our private jets. I'm going to pay off all the debt. Everybody's going to get their cash. Everybody's going to go on happy because everybody's going to be wealthy. Okay. So continue to borrow money because borrowing money is cheap. And then we'll deal with it after the 2024 season, which I suppose, just taking a leap of faith here, that's when they were technically allowed to sell after the move. Keep going, Alex.
According to the filing, Barbarian attempted numerous times and numerous ways to resolve the dispute. That included mediation with a retired LA County Superior Court judge that didn't work. Quote, Dean refuses to consider a sale of the trust interest of the Chargers, insisting that the co-trustees continue to borrow more and more and to force the charities and beneficiaries to wait for years and to hope while Dean speculates further on a football team, the petition said. Quote, Dean has filed to present any plan to address the trust's bleak financial picture because there is no other plan than the one urged by Barbarian. Dean simply refuses to discuss it. His plan is hope.
Whoa, the sister is, first of all, they're already in mediation. Let's just remember that. And the sister is blasting him in a public forum. I mean, this is all obviously so public. Keep going here.
Yeah, through Forbes valued the Chargers at $2.6 billion last year. The petition described the team as a, quote, rare trophy asset and noted that the price a buyer is willing to pay is often not dictated by any economic metric. The NFL recently finalized massive new media rights deals that could be worth $10 billion per year, something the filing asserts will certainly attract potential buyers.
Mm-hmm.
The petition noted reports that Amazon.com founder Jeff Bezos, worth an estimated $180 billion, is interested in becoming an NFL owner and said, quote, the Chargers could be a perfect opportunity.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Go down a few paragraphs here. His 4 children.
Yep, his 4 children, Alexandra, Michael, Dean, and Barbarian, each owns 15% of the Chargers. The family trust controls 36% of the team, with the remainder owned by non-family members. After Alex Spanos and his wife, Faye, died in 2018, Dean Spanos, the oldest of the 4 children, and Barbarian were left as the sole co-trustees.
Yeah, the next paragraph is important. The stake in the Chargers makes up 83% of the trust's holdings. Think about that. So the Chargers, between the 4 siblings and the trust, it makes up 83%. So then it goes on to say the petition paints a bleak picture of its finances, estimating an annual shortfall of $11 million with little cash flow or reason to believe the numbers will improve. Remember last year, no fans in the stands. And even if there were, who knows how many would have shown up for the Charger games. The debt includes $164 million associated with the trust's interest in the Chargers and at least $75 million in estate taxes. And it goes on to say, rather than seeking to monetize illiquid assets to pay the debts and liabilities, They just keep borrowing money. So they're not selling and paying down. They're continuing to borrow. This article it is so insanely damning to this team. And by the way, I'll tell you this. If this were happening in San Diego and this were happening to the San Diego Chargers, I'll promise you this. This is a non-story. However, because the Chargers have moved to LA, because this gets picked up and broken by the LA Times, because you're talking about a big, sexy, ultra wealthy name like Jeff Bezos, all of a sudden, this is huge, huge national news. It can eclipse opening day of Major League Baseball season. And perhaps the best part of it all, for those of us that take pleasure in this, is the massive amount of egg that is on the collective face of the Spanos family. It has been proven time and time again that moving to LA for the Chargers was a massive financial disaster. Raphie Cantor, the host of the Bolted podcast, will give us his immediate opinion about this story next.
We'll be right back with more of Scott Kaplan and Crew tonight. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew show on the mightier 1090 AM. A new generation of radio. SoCal Sports Talk.
You're watching Kaplan and Crew tonight, powered by the mightier 1090 and YurView, featuring the best sports talk in SoCal.
Catch Kaplan and Crew Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. If you've listened to Scott Kaplan the last 20 years, you know one thing. He likes to stir up some shit. A new generation of radio. The all-new and mightier 1090.
Victor Howell here, host of the NCAA Tournament Special, Advance to Indianapolis. Each week, we'll assemble a panel of regional experts that follow your local teams all the way to the Final Four in Indianapolis. Highlights, predictions, interviews, and more as we advance to Indianapolis on YurView.
Brought to you by the Multicultural Health Foundation. Together against COVID. Visit blackcovidfactssd.org. Let's take it up a notch with Kaplan and Crew tonight's Premium Boost, powered by the mightier 1090.
Welcome to the Jacobs & Cushman San Diego Food Bank and our 90,000 square foot facility. We feed 350,000 people every single month. Many people ask, how can I help? You can volunteer for the San Diego Food Bank. Just go to sandiegofoodbank.org, register to volunteer. No group is too small, no group is too large, but those volunteers are integral to our success in feeding the community. Another way you can help is by hosting a food drive. Just go online and register your group, your company, or your organization. It's that easy. Another great way is through our virtual food drive, where you can literally buy food on our behalf. Lastly, another great way to make an impact is to go online and make a financial contribution to the San Diego or North County Food Bank. On behalf of the San Diego Food Bank, our staff, our volunteers, and the 350,000 people we serve every month, thank you for helping us fight hunger and feed hope in San Diego County.
Casa de Amparo has been around since 1978, and now we're in the Twin Oaks Valley in San Marcos with a beautiful campus We work with children and families who've experienced chronic trauma over their lifetime, and we're here to help heal that.
I always told myself, seeing that my mother passed away through domestic violence, that I would never put myself in that position. And if it ever happened, I would leave. But it's easier said than done.
These are foster youth who are not able to manage in a foster home environment. My husband and I have been a part of the San Marcos community in our businesses since 1993.
One of the beautiful things about Kayleen, she started here at Casa de Amparo years ago when we were at the shelter with a church group.
How can we best give back is to volunteer our time.
Because without donors like Bassett, we would not be able to provide the services we provide.
Kaplan and Crew tonight's premium boost is powered by the mightier 1090.
Rich Eisen here, inviting you to catch my show, The Rich Eisen Show, on our flagship radio station, the Mightier 1090. We're on every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to noon Pacific time. You'll like what you hear. If not, that's just, I guess, too bad.
A new generation of radio. The all-new and mightier 1090.
Adios, love handles.
Adios, couch.
Adios, Quarantine 15.
Say adios to the quarantine bod with Pollo Fit Bowls, made with fire-grilled chicken and organic super greens from El Pollo Loco.
Join Erica Cardenas on Doing More as she introduces you to ordinary people working side by side to confront tremendous challenges and make a positive impact in their community.
Hi, I'm Erica Cardenas. Join me on the next Doing More as we celebrate the many accomplishments of women during Women's History Month.
Doing More, Sunday and Monday night on YurView. Sponsored by The Burns Firm, partnering with Shelter to Soldier and saving lives 2 at a time. Visit theburnsfirm.com/shelter to soldier and help save more lives.
We have a term for typical cheese-filled, grease-covered, regret-inducing takeout. That's why dinner from El Pollo Loco is always fire-grilled, freshly prepared, feel-good food. The $20 Familia Dinner from El Pollo Loco.
Here's Kaplan and Crew tonight's 60-second timeout with Haley Stasiak.
We've got MLB opening day today, the Final Four this weekend, and oh yeah, we've got football happening this spring as well. University of San Diego football sits at number 25 in the NCAA FCS coaches poll this week. The Toreros are 3-0 entering this weekend's matchup against Davidson. With a win on Saturday, USD will have 40 straight league wins, which would set a new record for most consecutive conference wins in NCAA FCS history. They tied the record with their win against Butler on March 20th. The California high school football season is about at its halfway point. In the San Diego section, Max Preps ranks Cathedral Catholic at number 1 with a 3-0 record, while Carlsbad and Lincoln come in at number 2 and 3 respectively, both with a 2-0 record. Carlsbad takes on Oceanside on Friday night, and Lincoln takes on Madison. That's your 60-second timeout. Now back to more Kaplan and Crew tonight.
Kaplan and Crew tonight's 60-second timeout is presented by YurView.
Attention, all dogs, cats, horses, tortoises, birds, pigs, and all other pets. Get your family members to sit, stay, and watch Animal Zone every Saturday at 9 p.m. right here on this channel and at animalzone.org.
Tune in Saturdays at 9 p.m. to watch Animal Zone right here on YurView.
Victor Howell here, host of the NCAA Tournament Special, Advance to Indianapolis. Each week, we'll assemble a panel of regional experts that follow your local teams all the way to the Final Four in Indianapolis. Highlights, predictions, interviews, and more as we advance to Indianapolis on YurView.
Brought to you by the Multicultural Health Foundation. Together against COVID. Visit blackcovidfactssd.org.
We'll be right back with more of Scott Kaplan and Crew tonight. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew show on the mightier 1090 AM. A new generation of radio. SoCal Sports Talk.
You're watching Kaplan and Crew tonight, powered by the mightier 1090 and YurView, featuring the best sports talk in SoCal.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the 7 Mile Casino Studios here on Kaplan and Crew. For those of you that are listening on 1090, and for those of you that are watching on our YouTube channel, you've probably been following along with this Bolted podcast. And I say it like that because I realize not everybody listens to podcasts and not everybody always knows exactly what we're talking about. But Raphie and Ben are here from the Bolted podcast, which gives us a great opportunity to jump into the big news of the day. Ironically, these two dudes are wearing their Padre gear. They're so excited about Padre opening day, as we all woke up and were. And then all of a sudden, this Charger story and the sale of the Chargers, according to the reports, and I'll get deeper into it in a second. And these guys are here to have this discussion. Raphie, Ben, good to talk to you guys, man. How you doing?
We're doing all right. Thanks for having us on. And
yeah, it's good to be back.
Timing is weird. We were planning on talking today, and lo and behold.
Yeah. So, guys, listen. I've been addicted to your podcast. I've never ever listened to any podcast like it. You guys mentioned a couple of days ago that it was inspired by Ramona Shelburne and her 30 for 30 type podcast about Donald Sterling. I never heard it. I'm actually trying to find it. Not that it should be that difficult to find. For things like this, this is hard for me. But guys, I listened to this week's episode. Alex, you take down episode 5?
Yes, this morning I took it down. I like you, but the problem is I told these guys before, every time I hear their show, I love it because it's so well done, and shout out to you guys for doing it so well. But the content just pisses me off every time.
And this week, here comes the setup. This week's episode, here's what it was about. Mark Fabiani creating chaos in San Diego, which, as we look back on it now, was to help the team exit. Mark Fabiani setting up the vote in 2016 and what was going on back then and how it was set up for failure. The fight in the city between the hoteliers who wanted to expand the convention center versus the Chargers who wanted to, make the stadium part of the convention center. All of this was based on hotel taxes. I mean, all the stuff you heard about that made you sick back then, that's what this episode of the Bolted podcast was about. But fellas, little did we know that on opening day, when we all woke up excited about the Padres, you guys got on your gear. Little did we know that the Chargers would steal the headlines from the LA Times. Inner family fighting, okay? Borrowing tons of money, not having liquid cash. In fact, Raphie, you said in the podcast this week, something to the effect of you're never poor if you're a billionaire. I'm trying to remember how you phrased it.
There's no such
thing as a poor billionaire. Yeah.
Dude, I actually
disagreed.
Yeah, not true. And here's why. Because you can be a billionaire on paper and have no cash, and then you can go borrow cash because money is cheap to borrow right now, and then you bring in that cash, but you've just expanded your debt. And what Dean Spanos' sister is saying is that we aren't selling assets to pay down debt. We're just collecting more and more debt under the expectation that we'll eventually sell the franchise and we'll all make money. But you can still fly on private jets, but people don't realize you're incurring all this debt. So anyway, I could keep rambling. Raphie, Ben, good to see you guys. Raphie, jump in here. What do you think about the developments today?
So I hear you guys on disagreeing about poor billionaires. I would argue that if they're, a billionaire, you would define as someone who has more than $1 billion in assets, and the Spanoses clearly do. So I think that they still qualify as billionaires, and they can always sell the team. Like if they want. That's the problem that's going on right now, is that Dia Spanos, the daughter who's filing in court, it's basically saying we have assets, but we do not have cash, and I want cash, and the family doesn't have it. And so what makes this whole thing fascinating is the way that their ownership structure is created is that each of the siblings has a 15% stake in the team, and the trust has a 36% stake in the team. Now, if the court says, hey, the trust can't pay its debts, all that, we need to sell the team, Dia's stake, 15%, plus the trust stake, 36%, is 51% of the team. That's controlling interest. Now, the solution, and I don't know if you guys saw, Gilbert Manzano, who's the OC Register's beat reporter for the Chargers, posted a statement from the other three Spanos siblings a few minutes ago.
Yep.
And the statement said, basically, she's not in with us. We this isn't going to affect the family. And also, we can buy her out. That's our right. We can buy her out. The trouble is that they would need to buy out her 15% share plus her 9% of the team that the trust owns, and she has a quarter of the trust. That's 24% of the team. That's like probably at least $600 million, if not more, depending on how the team is valued.
Well, that's the problem. She would say the team is valued by Forbes at $2.6 billion. So her 20 some odd percent would wind up being around $500 million at that point.
At least.
What she's saying is go put it out on the open market. And if instead of it being 2.6, we can get 3.5, instead of me getting 500 million, I may get 600 or 700 million.
Yeah.
So this is what's fascinating to me, guys, is that I don't know if you guys ever get to this in the Bolted podcast in episode 6, but this internal fight amongst the Spanos family is very much what helped move them to LA, because all of this infighting was happening back then. I know you guys requested interviews with the Spanoses and they turned you down. No surprise. But this infighting was happening before they moved. It's what prompted the move. The sisters and the brothers were like, let's get out of here. They'll never build a stadium for us.
Yeah. And I think the key piece of evidence that was mentioned in the filing today is there was a letter from Dean in November of 2019 that said that he intends to retain an investment bank at the end of the 2024 season to sell the team. And that was something that I think a lot of people, when the team announced that they were moving, they were like, they're just going to move it and sell it. We never had any proof of that. One of the things we, argue in the show is essentially, the proof was in the pudding when the NFL said, go back to San Diego in 2016. Oh, and if you want to come back to LA, we're going to let you come here rent free. And that, to me, that was the kind of nail in the coffin for the entire thing. It wasn't that Measure C, finished. If you listen to episode 5, one of the things we talk about is they come down and they basically said, here's our deal. We're putting it on the table, like it or leave it, because we can just go to LA. And it wasn't what had been proposed in 2015 with CSAG, where the team and the Spanos family would be paying $300 million for a stadium. It was, no, the city's going to pay for all of the stadium with this convention center and the hotel tax money and all that stuff. And if you don't like it, we'll just leave. And now it's become painfully obvious why that's the case. And, one of the things that is not mentioned in this court filing, they don't bring up the NFL G4 loan and the relocation fees that they still are paying off to the NFL, which in and of itself total $650 million. That's money that they already owe. If they now have to pay for Dia's share of the team, I don't know how they're going to come up with the money, and they'll probably be forced to sell it.
Yeah, guys, I don't know how they pay her off per se, other than based on what I've read today and the shocking news of today. And I say shocking, not because any of this is necessarily surprising. I find it shocking because it's gone public now. I didn't realize, and it mentioned this in the article, that they had been mediating. Yeah. So clearly this is not new, So how do they pay her off? How do they buy her out? How do they control this franchise? If you can borrow more money and pay your sister off, so be it. She's now out, and now the 86% is divided between 3 rather than 4. But again, at some point, if the Chargers can't sell luxury suites, every one of them, and if they can't sell every ticket in the house, and if they can't, get every dollar they can when they get to borrow the stadium for $1 a year, it's going to take a long time to be making up this kind of money, even, by the way, with all this new television money that's coming their way that you talked about in the podcast.
Yeah. One of the things I also want to note that's kind of buried in the notes of this article is that Dean Spanos has retained Adam Streisand as her attorney. And Adam Streisand is the attorney who represented Steve Ballmer when he bought the Clippers from Donald Sterling, and that was a forced sale. And he's also the attorney who helped Jeannie Buss get full control of the Lakers. So this is serious. Like,
he's a top dog.
Yeah, he's a tough dog. And I don't think, who knows what's going on with the internal family squabbles. Like you said, this is now just all going public, and maybe we'll learn more. But if Dean Spanos has a case that the family cannot pay its debts, then this is a serious guy. And I don't think that he brings the case to court unless like there is fire, not just smoke.
Well, how about the line, kind of a very quick line too, that the plan was for them to sell in 2024, which we all kind of assumed when they moved to LA, like, well, they're just going to move to LA, stick around for a couple of years and then sell. I mean, a lot of people said that. Did you guys, I know you didn't talk to the Spanos family, but from all the people that you've spoken to, did you guys get any inclination that that was where they were heading, was a sale?
I think, frankly, a lot of people in San Diego had said that to us. And at the time, I thought it was wishful thinking. My thought process was they are going to be so financially secure with all of their national revenue that comes in from the TV deals and the streaming rights and the merchandise and all that stuff, that while they were getting set up in LA, which obviously wasn't going well and they weren't selling tickets and all the stuff, they would have essentially this life preserver of cash. Today, it paints a really, if this really is true, it paints a really bleak financial picture of the state of the Spanos family's finances.
Yeah. $11 million short annually. And I'm not a mathematician. I don't know how really the business of NFL works, but when you go from a 65,000 seat stadium to a 25,000 seat stadium, seems to kind of add up where you're missing things, right?
Yeah, and I mean, part of that was, again, it's this national revenue. It's the slice of their slice of 32 that they get from TV rights and streaming rights and all that stuff, which every year grows and grows and grows. And Scott, you had just mentioned in 2023, that number that they split with the other franchises is going to grow to well over $10 billion a year. And so, one of the points we make in the show is that the NFL could put a franchise on the moon and it would be a wildly profitable venture just by virtue of being an NFL franchise. If the family's debts far outweigh the money that is able to generate, and this all looks bad, like from first blush. So it'll be really intriguing to see how this plays out. The statement from the Spanos family itself was very dismissive in a way that makes me think that they feel confident that they can purchase her stake in the team or that they can resolve this internally. But I just don't see it if this is all true.
Let me remind you of one thing, dude. And you did a lot of talking about this in the most recent episode of the Bolted podcast. And that is this. Mark Fabiani, as you well know, is a master of media manipulation and of crisis management.
Master of disaster.
That's his specialty.
Episode 4.
Right. That's his specialty. When you think about Mark Fabiani, you think about him cleaning up messes for... Listen, not just Dean Spanos. I'm talking about real rich guys, real powerful people. You mentioned the Clintons in the podcast. There was Lance Armstrong at one time. There was Sheldon Adelson, who in Las Vegas, who was the owner of the newspaper there and a lot of hotels and casinos. And point is that when there are rich people that need crisis management, Fabiani's the go-to guy. So when you read this statement from the three Spanoses, notice the order in which they are listed. It's not Dean and his brother and sister. It's sister, Dean's little brother, and then Dean. They're with me. And the spin of, hey, we're willing to buy her out. I mean, we don't know, but I don't trust them. So to me, it's all spin.
That's how I read it also. I just read it so I woke up and basically early morning, Raphie sent that to me. And as soon as I read it, I felt like it was they were just trying to control the narrative of what's happening, and nothing really felt real. It felt very, very real. But Not like I didn't believe any of the words.
We're talking to Raphie Cantor and Ben Stein. They're on Kaplan and Crew here this afternoon. And if you're watching on television in the evening hours, if you've already put in your time on baseball on opening day and you're hanging out here in the evening, it is the story that, at least in San Diego, I can tell you guys this, by the way, two really important factors here. One, if the Chargers were in San Diego, this would be a blip on the map, a little tiny nothing story. The fact that they are an LA team now, and that this blows up in the LA Times, this has sexy written all over it. It's rich people, it's inter-family squabbling, it's massive business in the NFL. I mean, and it's Los Angeles. So it becomes a juicy, salacious story. In San Diego, it's a blip on the radar. In LA, it's a big national story because it's LA. But here's the next part of it. In LA, it's a blip. Like in LA, people are going to be like, yeah, okay, so what? Dodgers open today. Lakers got big problems. UCLA's in the Final Four. Even good, sexy, salacious inter-family squabbling around billions of dollars won't really register in LA for these guys today.
Yeah, and Scott, it's something that you had said earlier, that it's a shocking story, but it's maybe not surprising. And I think that is kind of the attitude that I read all of this about, is having done all this research for the show, having been involved in this project and everything. It's confirming a lot of the suspicions that we had, but up until this point had kind of just been like hearsay and looking in from the outside in. This court filing is now we get to look from the inside out and get to see how the other three Spanos siblings are now in the reaction chair. They're not the ones that, like you said, Mark Fabiani, crisis management guy, he's the one who's going to frame the narrative of this, but they are now in response mode. Which is different than the seat that they have been in for the prior several years. And it's going to be very interesting, especially that letter, like Alex had brought up, of them wanting to sell the team in 2024. That could be the key piece of evidence.
This is too good right now. Now, as a San Diego Charger fan, your wheels are turning. You know, here, if Jeff Bezos is like the number one guy on the NFL's list of, hey, we have a list of rich guys, all who really want to buy an NFL football team, we'll do anything to get Bezos into this group, you know? So, hey, Jeff, you're worth $109 billion or whatever the number
180.
is. 180, pardon me. You're worth $180 billion. We want you to buy this franchise. We think it's got the most upside potential. It's got an amazingly cheap deal for the stadium. The stadium is the best on the planet. Nobody's even been in it. There's no gum on the bottom of the seats here, pal. You know, look, Jeff, you're worth 180 billion, 190 billion. So what? Overpay. Pay $4 billion. By the way, it's going to help all of us, the other owners. And you're now our TV partner, Amazon. So this is this makes it even more interesting. Could Jeff Bezos walk through the door with $3 billion in his pocket, like in cash, and go, here you go, everybody get out?
I mean, absolutely. And the LA Times piece goes out of its way to, you know, and the court filing, I think itself mentions Jeff Bezos by name. It makes a lot of sense. There are already people who are now saying, well, he would need to move the team because he wouldn't want to be sleeping on Stan Kroenke's couch in SoFi Stadium or something like that. I don't want to read that far into it, but you saw, like I said, I already mentioned Adam Streisand, the name of the attorney who's representing Dean Spanos, represented Steve Ballmer. Steve Ballmer was someone who had $40 to $50 billion when he bought the Clippers, and he wound up paying more than anyone ever thought that the Clippers would be worth. And so I think that you're going to see, if the court agrees with Dean Spanos and says you need to sell the team, a very similar situation where, despite their inability to pay and everything, that the Spanoses would probably get an inflated sale price because it's just going to be a fire sale.
Is there any precedent in the NFL of this happening before, where there's inter-family squabblings and that goes to court that is trying to force a sale? Has this, I don't know off the top of my head, I was wondering, does anybody here know? Has this happened before?
I don't know about the NFL, but that's how the McCourt family sold the Dodgers, right? I know it's happened in other leagues.
I mean, it's similar, and I know, you know, John Moore sold the Padres partially in conjunction with his divorce, but the only other thing I can think of is the most prominent NFL court battle was Al Davis taking on the NFL so that he could move the Raiders back in the day. And I don't recall for the NFL anything that's been anything like this, specifically interfamily squabbling.
I ask because I feel, and this is just a feeling of reading every single thing that I could possibly read about it, the NFL hasn't been too happy with the Spanos family anyways, with what they've done in LA. I mean, that's not really a surprise. The embarrassment that the Spanos and the Chargers have done when they were at StubHub, Dignity Health, and all that stuff, it's been countless. So I'm curious if the NFL steps in, like, you know what? This is our chance to actually get you out and stop worrying about you and bring in someone like Bezos or bring in someone, whoever, and just get rid of a not rich guy and bring in a rich guy.
Well, and we talk about this in this week's episode of Bolted, the war within the NFL ownership between the old money, the Spanoses, the Davis family, the Hunt family, the families who have had the teams for very, very long times versus the new money, which I know Jerry Jones has owned the Rams for quite some time, or excuse me, the Cowboys for quite some time, and Stan Kroenke's owned the Rams for quite some time. But you know, they made their money. They were independently wealthy. Their wealth is not tied up in the team. And those folks, the new money folks, the multi-billionaires, they want more people like them in the ownership.
There's no doubt. And listen, on the way out the door, guys, listen, I'll tell everybody, make sure you're listening to this podcast because it's so well produced. Ben, Raphie, you guys have done such a great job on this. It is so ironic that episode 5 dropped this week and then this story blows up on opening day. Oh my God, I have so much more to talk to you guys about. We'll talk next week. We'll talk to you after hearing the 6th episode. Guys, a pleasure. Enjoy opening day. Go Padres. You guys look sharp.
Yeah, thank you. Go Padres.
Thank you. Go Pods, go Pods.
We'll be right back with more of Scott Kaplan and Crew tonight. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew show on the mightier 1090 AM. A new generation of radio. SoCal Sports Talk.
You're watching Kaplan and Crew tonight, powered by the mightier 1090 and YurView, featuring the best sports talk in SoCal.
Hey, Dave Smith here. Make sure you listen to my show on the Mightier 1090, 6 to 10 p.m. Saturday and Sunday night. The only local sports talk in all of Southern California on the weekends, right here on the Mightier 1090.
The all-new and mightier 1090.
Join Erica Cardenas on Doing More as she introduces you to ordinary people working side by side to confront tremendous challenges and make a positive impact in their community.
Hi, I'm Erica Cardenas. Join me on the next Doing More as we celebrate the many accomplishments of women during Women's History Month.
Doing More, Sunday and Monday night on YurView. Sponsored by The Burns Firm, partnering with Shelter to Soldier and saving lives 2 at a time. Visit theburnsfirm.com/shelter to soldier and help save more lives. From fitness to medical technology, explore how people are leading healthier lives on Your Health.
I'm Erica Cardenas, and on the next episode of Your Health, we're helping you up your nutrition game. Expert advice on how to make simple changes to better nutrition, and delicious energy bites with only 5 ingredients.
Watch Your Health Sunday, Monday, and Thursday only on YurView, or stream it online at YurView.com. Kaplan and Crew tonight presents Sports in a Minute.
To go along with today's MLB opening day, we're going to highlight some prep baseball happening in the area. Rancho Bernardo is ranked 3rd in the state by Max Preps. Last night, they shut out Chaparral 6-0. Senior third baseman Peyton Scholes went 3 for 3 on the night with 2 runs scored. Scholes is a Long Beach State commit. St. Augustine is ranked at number 9 in the state by Max Preps. In yesterday's Lions tournament win against Claremont, pitcher Manny Butler had 5 strikeouts and allowed only 3 hits in 6 2/3 innings. Some college baseball news that developed this week. University of San Diego's weekend series against Pepperdine was postponed due to COVID-19 protocols within the Pepperdine program. USD added a 2-game set with Cal State Fullerton in place of the weekend series. The Toreros will visit the Titans on Friday, then host Fullerton on Saturday. I'm Haley Stasiak. That's your sports in a minute. Now back to more Kaplan and Crew tonight.
Hey, it's Pharrell here, inviting you to catch my shows on the Mightier 1090. We're on twice every Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. and 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific. Trust me, all the other sports stations are sleeping with your wife.
The all-new and Mightier 1090.
Explore the Southwest lifestyle, the culture, the music, the food, y más. Join hosts J.R. Cardenas and Vanessa Ramirez on Su Vida.
March is the month that we associate with the color green.
And what better place to bring it in than Moon Valley Nurseries, where we're surrounded by green and every other color of the rainbow.
We're celebrating the planting of the green on the next
Su Vida.
Watch Su Vida Sunday and Monday night only on YurView and YurView.com. Join Erica Cardenas on Doing More as she introduces you to ordinary people working side by side to confront tremendous challenges and make a positive impact in their community.
Hi, I'm Erica Cardenas. Join me on the next Doing More as we celebrate the many accomplishments of women during Women's History Month.
Doing More Sunday and Monday night on YurView. Sponsored by The Burns Firm, partnering with Shelter to Soldier and saving lives 2 at a time. Visit theburnsfirm.com/shelter to soldier and help save more lives. City in Motion is brought to you by McDonald's. Stop by your local participating McDonald's now through April 25th and make a donation or visit walkforkids.org to support.
Hi, I'm Vince Bryson, CEO of Ronald McDonald House Charities of Southern California. Welcome to the 2020 Virtual Walk for Kids.
Coronavirus pandemic will not stop our show because we are still going to walk for these kids.
You guys want to do the Walk for Kids virtually this year?
Today is Walk for Kids, you guys, virtually. So we love it, love it, love it.
Let's get this walk started.
We are going to start. So I'm going to be walking around my backyard.
Doing the 5K walk.
We're here in front of the beautiful Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum.
So we are getting ready to do lap 3.
We're here to send our support.
I love the excitement. I love the energy. Let's keep it going.
If you want to know the reason why I'm walking, it's because I care about the kids and the families that stay at our house.
I walk for the Los Angeles Ronald McDonald House for kids like me, so they can have a place to call their home away from home.
To me, the Ronald McDonald House means love, care, hope, and support.
The families and children of RMHC need our help and support now more than ever. So thank you for joining our virtual walk and continuing to support our Ronald McDonald House even during these difficult times.
Thank you so much for coming together, for showing that we can unite and be together even though we're not at our respective locations.
Thank you for participating in this virtual walk.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks for all your help and support, and stay well.
Ronald McDonald House Charities of SoCal gives families with sick kids the best medicine, each other. Stop by your local McDonald's today and make a donation or visit walkforkids.org to support. City in Motion, highlighting great things in our community like Ronald McDonald House Charities. Give families with sick kids the best medicine, each other. You're watching Kaplan and Crew tonight, powered by the Mightier 1090 and YurView, featuring the best sports talk in SoCal.
Hector Howell here, host of the NCAA Tournament Special, Advance to Indianapolis. Each week, we'll assemble a panel of regional experts that follow your local teams all the way to the Final Four in Indianapolis. Highlights, predictions, interviews, and more as we advance to Indianapolis on YurView.
Brought to you by the Multicultural Health Foundation. Together against COVID. Visit blackcovidfactssd.org. Join Erica Cardenas on Doing More as she introduces you to ordinary people working side by side to confront tremendous challenges and make a positive impact in their community.
Hi, I'm Erica Cardenas. Join me on the next Doing More as we celebrate the many accomplishments of women during Women's History Month.
Doing More, Sunday and Monday night on YurView. Sponsored by The Burns Firm, partnering with Shelter to Soldier and saving lives 2 at a time. Visit theburnsfirm.com/shelter to soldier and help save more lives.
Thank you for joining us. Catch Scott Kaplan and Crew tonight from 7 to 8 p.m. Pacific every Monday through Friday. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew show on the Mightier 1090 AM.